We usually go above fair value. So I think we could get into the high hundreds, maybe even a couple hundred, but let's call it the high hundreds, 150, 180. And then we go into the next crypto winter. So we have our correction. Then for the next halving in 2028, the fair value jumps to $1 million. And people say, $1 million, that could never happen. Well, hopefully by that time, we're not talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about Satoshis. Because the Satoshi is the unit of measure that we should all, I think, be talking about, which is there are 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin.
As the cryptocurrency market gears up for the upcoming month, notable figures are sharing their insights on Bitcoin's price trajectory and its long-term potential. Mark Yusko, CEO of Morgan Creek Capital Management, recently made a striking prediction regarding Bitcoin's value, leaving many market players astonished. Despite Bitcoin's current struggles around the $30,000 mark, Yusko remains optimistic, projecting a future value of $300,000 by 2028 after a successful halving. Yusko's bullish stance on Bitcoin stems from its advantages over gold, a traditional competitor. He emphasizes Bitcoin's divisibility, portability, and scarcity as factors that could propel it to outperform gold in the long run. This view aligns with his belief that digital assets, including Bitcoin, could eventually attain a level of value comparable to that of gold, which currently holds a monetary value of around $6 trillion. Despite Bitcoin's present lag, Yusko envisions a rapid catch-up that could reshape the cryptocurrency landscape.
Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop your comment and observations in the comment section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
It goes like this, right? So gold is the only money in the world. And what is money? Money is an asset that exists in the absence of a liability. Now everybody says, well, what about all this other stuff? These dollars or yen or euros. We use them as money. Well, no, we use them as currency. And they're created by banks, central banks, and they're backed by debt. So it's not that they're bad or evil. It's just they're not money. Money is an asset that exists in the absence of a liability. And so for 5,000 years, it's a long time, gold has played that role. And we had experiments with other things along the way, puka shells and stone wheels and things like that. But gold has survived through belief and custom. And 1 ounce of gold for 5,000 years has bought a fine person's suit. So from Cleopatra's time to a suit of armor to a zoot suit in the 20s to Savile Row today, you or I could go to Savile Row and for a single ounce of gold, about $1,900, we could get a fine suit. And that's about what it would take. So what's changed? Well, gold suffers from 2 things. It's not very portable, meaning it's really heavy and clunky, and it's not very divisible. Like if I had a bar of gold here and go pull it out of the safe and I wanted to give you half, right? Because it's been a nice interview. I wanted to give you half. Even if I could break it in half, which I couldn't do, I'd have a hard time stuffing it in the computer and sending it to you. So it's not very divisible. I can't break it in half, and it's not very portable. I can't send it to you. Well, Bitcoin fixes both of those. It is equally scarce. Its stock to flow ratio is the same as gold. The amount that's lost or stolen every year roughly equals the amount that's created. And so it's a scarce asset. Well, why do scarce assets matter? Well, a scarce asset, which also exists in the absence of a liability, it wasn't created by a government with debt, has an interesting feature of being a perfect store of value. So as people realize that in the digital age, and Bitcoin being more divisible and more portable, I can punch a few buttons on my smartphone and send you Bitcoin immediately. You don't have to have a bank account. I don't need to have a bank account. We can make that transfer of wealth instantaneously. So the monetary value of gold, to sum up, is about $6 trillion, give or take. The total value of gold is about 11, but 5-ish of that is jewelry and chalices, and that doesn't really count. But the monetary that's in central banks around the world is about 6 trillion. I think Bitcoin can replace all of that. The monetary equivalent, 6 trillion, is about a 10x from here. So it gives us a price of about 300K. I've said for years, so that was like a 10-year process, and we're probably 3-4 years into that. So I can still, I would say the next halving, not this halving in 2024, but the 2028. And where do I get that? Well, every halving, we've added a zero. we've about 10 times the market cap of Bitcoin. So we went from 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000. I think this halving next April, we go to 100,000 as fair value. But in these movements during crypto fall, right? We're in crypto summer today until next June. Then after the halving, we go to crypto fall. That's the parabolic, everybody's crazed and FOMO rules. We usually go above fair value. So I think we could get into the high hundreds, maybe even a couple hundred, but let's call it the high hundreds, 150, 180. And then we go into the next crypto winter. So we have our correction. Then for the next halving in 2028, the fair value jumps to $1 million. And people say, $1 million, that could never happen. Well, hopefully by that time, we're not talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about Satoshis. Because the Satoshi is the unit of measure that we should all, I think, be talking about, which is there are 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. And then we don't have to think about, well, Bitcoin's $1 million. No, a single Satoshi is worth fractions of pennies at some point.
The upcoming Bitcoin halving is anticipated to commence in April 2024, followed by another in 2028. Historically, Bitcoin halvings have been associated with bullish price rallies for the cryptocurrency. Mark Yusko, CEO of Morgan Creek Capital Management, acknowledges this trend and predicts a surge to $100,000 by the next April, attributing it to the halving event. Other notable figures, including Kathy Wood of ARK Invest, Standard Chartered, and Matrix Port, have also made optimistic price predictions for Bitcoin. Recent concerns have arisen among market players due to Bitcoin's performance, as it maintains stability above the $30,000 price mark. The Human Rights Foundation has introduced a bug bounty challenge to enhance the Bitcoin protocol, focusing on improvements to user experience, particularly in mobile wallets. The HRF aims to encourage open-source development, allocating 20 Bitcoin as incentives for various challenges. These bounties stem from discussions with global activists and target specific issues faced by Bitcoin. They encompass a range of tasks, from open-source design components for Bitcoin projects to the expansion of Nostr, a censorship-resistant social network backed by Jack Dorsey. The HRF's Bitcoin Development Fund finances these bounties to support financial freedom for dissidents and human rights activists, aligning with the Foundation's view of Bitcoin as a component of the broader human rights struggle. While the bounties are ongoing until the end of 2024, their success could potentially pave the way for similar initiatives by other organizations. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.